Blog Talk Radio.
Controversy about Jose Aldo or Jose Aldo, and is he in, is he out, who's going to take his place? We're going to look back at Fight Night 70, and we're also going to get into maybe a little bit more about the whole, was the Kimbo Slice, Ken Shamrock fight fixed? I think, Black Belt, I think you did a little bit of research, and maybe you're sold that the fight was fixed now.
No, you know what, man? I don't know if it was fixed, but man, how does a guy who's been training submission wrestling that long just miss? I mean, he had an open neck the whole bit. I just don't believe it. I just don't believe he just missed. You know, and if you look, you know, I don't know, man. When Kimbo Slice and Scott Coker get together, it's like Kimbo is going to win. Unless somebody sticks an unwanted jab in his face and just, you know, shuts the whole promotion down. I don't know, man. I don't know, man, you know? I don't know. What do you think?
I think my 11-year-old fixing to be 12-year-old son could have finished that choke. You know,
he's been training jiu-jitsu longer than Kimbo. Let's.
Yes, he has. He probably has better takedown defense also.
Yeah. So.
I mean, I think the young lady that we posted the video fight of the Pancration fight on the Facebook page could have finished that choke.
Peyton.
Yeah.
She could have finished that choke for sure. I've seen her finish the choke. Yeah, she could have finished that choke. Yeah.
It's just the more that I watched it, I watched the fight a few more times, the more it kind of seems more absurd to me. I don't know if you went back and watched the fight again, but I mean the way that Shamrock, if there's anything we know about Kimbo Slice, other than he can hit hard, it's that he can't defend a takedown. But it was almost like Shamrock barely touched him, and he just went right back to the ground. And oh man, it's, you know, looking at it again, it looks fixed. Yeah,
it's weird. I don't know, and I just you know as I was saying earlier in the week, I think I got me and a couple of friends kind of had some words about this one. I said, man, whether it's fixed or not, the fact of the matter is, you don't take guys who've been working their butts off, to make a name for themselves, fighting for a title, and have them co-main event that fight. I think I don't even think that's a co-main event fight. I think that's first or second on the card, maybe, if even. So I don't understand. I don't understand Coker's thinking. When he got Bellator is doing pretty well, so I don't understand why he thinks he's got to make, everything into a spectacle. I don't think he has to do it. The fighters there are starting to, brand themselves a little bit, and a lot of those guys can throw down and they can scrap. I don't understand why he did what he did, and I feel sorry for those other guys, man. I feel sorry for the real guys in that promotion.
Yeah, guys that are actually going to go on and continue fighting and trying to build their career, because clearly Ken Shamrock and Kimbo Slice are not going to do that. Now, if there was anything that was positive about all of this for Bellator, they did pull 2.3 million viewers, which is their highest rated show ever. And of course, immediately, within a few days after, I'm going through Twitter. Of course, everybody is, who's a Bellator fan is envisioning, well, what if we put Kimbo against Tito? We could get 3 million viewers. We could get 3.5 million viewers.
Right.
You know what? That wouldn't surprise me if they make that fight sometime down the road, and it wouldn't surprise me if they got 3 million viewers either.
Yeah, you know what? They might get 3 million viewers. I don't know. It seems to me like I don't know. He's going after carnival fans or something. I don't know what he's going after. Sideshow spectacles. Man, I don't want to watch Tito Ortiz fight anymore. And I don't, he, back in the day, man, I used to love to watch him fight. I don't really like to watch him fight anymore. And I don't, Stephan Bonner when he stepped in there to do it, and now Koscheck's going over there, and I mean, come on, man. I just, if I want to watch anybody fight in that organization, I want to watch, all the up and coming guys fight in that organization. Man, I don't want to watch all these other guys that, at the end of their line and just, feel the need. I mean, come on, let's go sign with a lower end promotion because, I'm on my way out. I can't hang with the top tier anymore. That's what it kind of looks like to me. I couldn't do it here, so I'm going to go over here. Well, I think it's going to be easier, but I don't know now, man. Some of those guys are pretty talented. I don't think it's going to be easier. So.
Yeah, I agree with you, and bringing up the whole thing for those that weren't aware, Josh Koscheck, of course, perennial MMA fighter, former 2-time title challenger, a guy who has a pretty storied career within the UFC, signed with Bellator. They announced it Friday night, and I'm seeing all the people saying, well, I guess Josh came out and he said, well, I'm going to finish my career in Bellator. Well, I don't know if he realized it, but his career was kind of already finished. So, I mean, what is in Bellator for him other than a payday? I mean, I don't necessarily see him making a run for a title.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know.
You remember that. He was foaming at the mouth.
I think he was foaming at the mouth in one of those fights. He got choked so bad. Of course he's a gamer, and I don't know if he's just got to get it out of him or if he feels like it won't be as tough. I don't know if some of these guys that leave the UFC, and say, well, I'm done, but then go sign somewhere else, I think it'll be easier over here. I don't think it's going to be easier. You're still fighting guys 20 years younger than you. I don't think it's going to be easier, or not 20 years, but 15 years, whatever it is. It's not going to be easier.
How much of a factor do you think money is playing into it in regards to the Reebok deal?
No, he's paying him. That's what it is. That's how he's getting them. I don't think any of these guys. Yeah, I don't think any of these guys sign up if it's not for money.
Oh no doubt. I mean, they're getting paid, but I mean, do you think it's a possibility with? And it seemed like it definitely was with Phil Davis. Maybe Josh Koscheck did the same thing, and he said, "Well, my contract's up here with the UFC. I can take my money that I know I'm going to get here, or I can hang around here and take a potential pay cut with my sponsorships, or I can keep my sponsors so I can go fight somewhere else and keep making the money I've been making."
And
I mean, that makes sense. If I was a manager, I might advise them to do that.
Yeah, I mean, I would think so too. I mean, Koscheck's 38 now, something like that. He's getting up. Maybe he's not that old. Maybe he's 34, 35, whatever. That guy's been through some wars, had his orbital busted. I don't think he's ever been the same since. Since that orbital got busted up, and I just, hey, if he's still got the competitive demon in him and he has to go do it, then go do it. Bellator will pay you some dollars to do it, but I don't know how interested he is in getting a title shot in Bellator. Phil Davis probably going to make a run, but he was kind of getting lost in the lightweight division in the UFC. But I think Koscheck's going to just fight out of they might make some super fights. He'll fight. He'll get paid, and he'll still get to drive all his nice cars and live in his big house.
Yeah, no question. Speaking of busted Josh Koscheck orbital, I don't know if you were perusing any of the news sites, but I guess Faraz Zahavi came out and told, I can't remember which website it was or who did the interview, but I guess GSP is back to almost training a full-time schedule again, 3 to 4 times a week, and it looks like a GSP return is coming a little bit more possible than it was, a year ago, 6 months ago.
Yeah.
Does a guy like that come back, and one, does he get an immediate title shot, or does a guy like that just seek after the super fights? Maybe he's, not interested in carrying a title and having to be that poster child.
I think his interest in the title is all going to depend on if Rory McDonald wins or not. Plain and simple. I don't see him, crossing. I don't see them stepping on each other's toes. So, but if a guy like him comes back, he's going to have a lot of ring rust, right? There's going to be ring rust, jitters. You don't give that guy a title shot right away. You give him one to break himself in, and like Dominic Cruz was going to get, and then then he blew his knee out again. So I think you give him one. If he wants another one, give him another one, and then he gets the title shot.
Yeah,
but there's no doubt about it. The guy's an athlete, and he gets back on a full-time training schedule. He probably still has it in him.
And the scary thing, the thing about him was he was at the absolute peak of his career. Still in his early 30s. He can come back and put in another 5 or 6 years and possibly have another 5 or 6 years of being on top, should that be what he wants to do.
Well, what kind of super fights would you want to see out of GSP?
Obviously, I think the first thing that you've got to talk about is Anderson Silva. I know Anderson Silva's over 40 now, but that's obviously always one that guys, I know fans have always wanted to see. I've always been interested in a fight like that.
Yeah.
I'd like to see him. I wouldn't mind seeing him fight Nick Diaz again, to be honest, or Carlos Condit. I know those necessarily might not be super fights per se, but I think those guys. I think definitely those two guys will definitely want another fight with him.
I think you're going to see Condit in a title run here pretty soon, though. So I don't really see that happening. I hope so. Yeah, I see Condit. I hope that we see Condit within a year. Back to 100% of where he was, and just making another run at the title. I just want that guy to win it at least one time. I've followed him since the WEC, and he's an animal. He's good everywhere, and I'd like to see him win.
Yeah, definitely. The same here. He is a majority decision endorsed fighter.
Yes, he is.
Question.
Yes, he is. Absolutely.
929-477-1077. If you got something you want to talk about, let us know. Give us a call. You can hit us up on Twitter at Majority MMA. Follow us as well. Let's talk about Jose Aldo and the rib injury. And all of this new, I've been saying for the past couple of months that the Connor McGregor hype train stops at UFC 189. And with the recent news, but I got to tell you, man, with the recent news of a potential rib injury for Aldo, I got to tell you, man, if that guy's got a rib issue, he's not going to win that fight.
You don't think so?
Well, I guess let me say this. It depends on the extent of the injury. Because if you've ever had a rib injury, you know that you can't do anything without being in pain. They'll probably shoot a cortisone, but his cardio is already questionable. And if he can't breathe because of his ribs, and then, of course, somebody said that he had stopped training, that he hasn't even he stopped training, and I don't know. I might have to change my pick. I might have to do a flip-flop on that one.
He says he's going to fight. That's what last news I heard. Jose Aldo said he was going to fight. Now, whether he does or not, is a question. I think they've already said they're going to give Connor McGregor Mendes, and they're going to do an interim if he doesn't fight, which is fine with me. Let's face it, right? As much as I love Conor McGregor, I wanted to see him get Frankie Edgar or Chad Mendes first before he got Jose Aldo. So, that'll be a true test. And Conor McGregor said last night on the Fight Night, they interviewed him. He said, whether it's he likes to call him Chad Mini Mendes. He said whether it's he said it doesn't matter. Whether it be Aldo or Mendes, I'm ready. Bring them all. And, if he says, he is what he is, should it matter who he's fighting? On that night?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and you know what? And props to McGregor for, because he could have easily said, hey, if Aldo's injured, you know what? I'm going to keep my title spot, and I'm going to just wait. And let's put this thing off let's give him a couple of months, and then let's fight. But for him to go ahead and say, okay, it doesn't matter who you give me, I'm going to fight regardless. I think that shows that he's going to do his best to back up what he's been saying that he is. But I agree with you 100%. A fight with Edgar or Mendes should have happened to me before the title shot. So I would definitely love to see him fight Mendes. Do you think Mendes was the right choice as the fill-in over Edgar?
You know what, man? You could have gone either way on that one. Honestly, I really would have liked to see Frankie Edgar get it. Man, that guy's been on a tear, and if anybody deserves it, it's him. If anybody deserves it, it's him. I don't even understand why they pick Mendes over Edgar. I don't know. I couldn't even begin to tell you. Couldn't even answer that question. At one point they were talking about Nate Diaz at 155, and I just thought, why would they even do that? Why? What would be the point of doing that? It wouldn't even be a fight to make sense. If he's got to prove himself, and Jose is out of the picture, then you got to fight Mendes or you got to fight Edgar. Plain and simple.
I could see Diaz getting that phone call as, hey, if Edgar and Mendes say no, then will you be ready? So I think maybe it might have been one of those deals like that. But, I didn't think.
Yeah, but those guys have already publicly come out and said, if I'm offered, I'm taking it. You know what I mean? You think Frankie Edgar's going to turn down a fight? That guy's in shape all the time. So's Mendes. Those guys. I don't know how often they take breaks. I don't think it's very much. I think they like to stay active as much as possible. So I think any chance or shot they get getting close to that title or a title, they're taking it. That's not a question.
Well, they have Mendes at number 1 and Edgar at number 2. Edgar's won 4 in a row. Mendes, of course, coming off the loss to Aldo, rebounded with the win, Ricardo Lamas. Even looking at the run that Edgar's had, to me that would give Edgar the edge in terms of a backup, but I guess apparently not. I guess they went straight with the rankings. I guess why have rankings if you're not going to utilize them at some point?
Yeah, that makes sense. Why not? This whole 1 through 10 Reebok thing they got going on. Let's use it. See what we can come up. I guess if Jose doesn't fight, though, he's giving up a whole lot of money not to fight. So, you know.
You know, and another thing, another thing I don't know that I was 100% comfortable with. I mean, if they're gonna, I know they got a lot of bank invested into this show as an entirety, right? You know, they have,
right.
and it's almost like nobody even remembers that there's another title fight on the card. Nobody even talks about that.
Yeah, you know, and I'm excited to see that fight.
Yeah, absolutely. That's going to be a great fight, but I'm not sure that they're not rushing to be willing to make an interim title just because Aldo's got a rib injury. You know, they've given other guys quite a bit of space to get ready, and you know, unless it was a confirmed amount of time, 6 or 8 months to a year that they're going to be gone, they've let guys in the past do the interim thing and keep that belt. And, you know, so I was kind of, you know, I was like, man, I don't know. Why would they just be so quick to pull it off Aldo? But it's got to be because of the importance of the card itself. I mean, they're expecting, I think Dana White is thinking they're going to get over 1 million pay-per-view buys for the show.
Yeah. And you're probably right. I mean, you got 2 title fights, and they're going to be strong title fights. Robbie Lawler and Rory McDonald, they're going to come to fight. You know, unless
it's going to be a great fight.
Unless Rory's been training to just, you know, lay and pray. But I think we all know how Robbie Lawler feels about that. So I don't know how much of that he's going to let happen. But I can't wait for that fight. I think there's some other fights on the card that'll be good. And you know, of course, we want to see, who doesn't want to see the featherweight scrap, man? Those guys are nonstop and they battle all the time. So I like watching the lighter guys go. You know, just like that's what it reminded me of when I saw Verdun and Velasquez last week. They looked like 2 55ers or 75 or, you know, or 45ers just going at it. I mean, they didn't stop throwing punches. They were moving. I mean, it was a crazy pace for guys that big. And
both of those guys,
I love watching fights like that. I love watching fights like that. And the lighter guys always bring it. It's always like that. So it's fun to watch.
It's always exciting. So UFC 189, you know, a couple of weeks away. And before we get into last night's card, let's go ahead and let everybody know. I think that we've been tossing around adding another show, maybe
correct.
on a Friday night, and so I think we are going to, maybe not this Friday, maybe the following Friday, if that's good with you. We'll go ahead and kick that off, and
absolutely.
So we're going to have a second show. So we'll have a second show. We'll let you know for sure what time it's going to be. Probably the same time, 10 o'clock. Central Time, but it's going to be on Friday night, and then we're going to come back on Sunday and do our normal show at 10. So it'll give us more time, more conversation, more opportunity to break down the topics, break down the fights, and
more opportunity
just give us more time to rant.
Yeah, that's right.
Absolutely. Yeah, you know, the audience has been growing. We had good numbers last week. So, man, if you like the show, I can't say it enough. If you enjoy the show, if you enjoy listening, let somebody know. Retweet it out. We got a few people out there that have been retweeting the show, and I want to say I appreciate that. But, you know, anyways, all of our listeners, spread the word, because we're not on a budget here. We're doing this for free for you guys, for MMA fans, because that's what we are.
That's right, baby. Forever and ever. Combat sports. That's what I like. Hey, Machida, I think time's catching up with him. I love him to death, but I think time's catching up with him. What do you think?
Hasn't happened. Father Time's undefeated, man.
Father Time is undefeated. Father Time is undefeated, and probably has a very long beard with a lot of cereal in it. But with that being said, Machida, Machida, man, he was playing the right game. He did what it was just a matter of time before Yoel Romero said, you know what, let me just run in at you and see if I can catch you. And he did. But, now that I think about it, looking at Machida, he did mention on UFC Fight Night this week that he's making that middleweight cut is hard for him. So I wonder if that is, been playing into the factor to where, he's not at his strongest at middleweight.
That was actually something that I wanted to bring up and ask what your opinion was. I was thinking the same thing. I mean, I'm looking at ever since he moved to middleweight, I think they kind of convinced him, maybe his management or something, Ed Soares or somebody told him that, hey, moving down the middleweight might be a good idea for you, but it really hasn't. He's 3-3 at middleweight. I think when he's at 205, he has a bit of a speed advantage over a lot of guys.
Right.
And I think he's losing out. He might be losing out on a little bit of strength going down to 185.
That's what I'm thinking too.
At 205.
I'm thinking at 205, he's got his speed and he's got his pop. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I haven't seen it as much since he's gone down to middleweight, and he looks like he gets tired. And Machida never used to get tired. He could dance for 5 rounds. Right? I don't. He didn't look the same. He kind of looked the same yesterday, but then you could tell he was starting to slow down as the rounds went on, and then Yoel just caught him and dropped the hammer on him. And great job, Yoel Romero. Yeah, he is. Great job, Yoel Romero. But I'm a Machida fan, so let's. If you're gonna finish up, man, maybe you should finish up at light heavyweight.
Yeah, I think I'd agree with you. I'd like to see him jump back and fight a few more fights at light heavyweight. Especially since things seem to be opening up there with the whole John Jones thing.
Right.
I think it'd be really good for him to go back up there and try to make a run up there again. But anyway, I guess, man, the time goes by. It goes by quick.
Yes, it does. That's why we're doing the extra show.
Absolutely, to get more in.
Thank you to the offshoots.
Anyway, thanks everybody for listening. Follow us on Twitter at Majority MMA. We'll be right here next week, breaking down UFC 189 on Blog Talk Radio. Majority Decision, 10 o'clock. We're out.